Let me first express my appreciation to all of you for accepting my invitation to this briefing. The purpose of this briefing is already clear, that it will be on the enforcement of the existing measures on containment, prevention and full response to the COVID-19 pandemic. As you are aware that yesterday the Prime Minister's office has announced the new measures on the fight against COVID-19, which was a result of emergency meeting chaired by Prime Minister, attended by a number of ministers and related government agencies to discuss in order to step up further measures on the fight against coronavirus or COVID-19. And today, it is my duty to inform our friends from international community and international organizations on additional measures that the government has been taking to contain, prevent, and respond to COVID-19 that are spreading across the globe. As you are aware that to date in the Lao PDR, 8 cases has been identified as infected cases, and with the influx of migrant workers back home during the Lao New Year, and as a result of a number of measures undertaken by our neighboring countries and countries across the world, these migrant workers have to return back home, and it is an incumbent upon the government to receive them back as Lao citizens. In light of this risk of outbreak in the country, the government almost 2 weeks ago has already undertaken measures to prevent the outbreak in the Lao PDR. However, despite the strict measures that the government has undertaken so far, 8 cases have been identified as infected cases in the Lao PDR. And we are running a risk of widespread across the countries, given the current situations in the countries. I think the details of those infection and the possibility of outbreak in the countries has already been informed by the Ministry of Public Health. Every day, the ad hoc committee on response to COVID-19 has been conducted every day, and so you can receive those briefings from the Ministry of Public Health. However, because those briefing has been conducted in Lao only, we as interlocutor with international community and embassies and international organizations in the Lao PDR, we try our best to communicate or translate those into English, so you would be fully aware of. So, as I said already, the purpose of today's briefing is to inform you the new measures undertaken by the government, which is effective from today on. But of course, because of the late notice to our international community, in the next couple of days, of course, some measures would not be fully implemented as far, because we need time to raise public awareness among public as well as international community living in the Lao PDR to get acquainted and aware of the measures that the government has undertaken. Therefore, today I have already circulated. I guess you received the translation of the order issued by Prime Minister yesterday. It has been roughly translated into English, so you can read the whole content of the order by yourself. Today, I try to make my briefing as brief as possible, given the precautions that we are taking. As you see, we try to follow all the protocol and all the instructions by WHO in terms of gathering. And you might be asking, because the order, one of the paragraph has said that we should not allow any activities or meeting that you would have participants exceeding 10 people. But today it will be exception and beyond. From now on, of course, we won't see this big gathering. As far as Ministry of Foreign Affairs is concerned, we try our best to communicate to all international community living and working in Lao PDR on any measures that the government would further take in response to COVID-19. So please be informed. We would do it through our Foreign Ministry's website if there is any other measures, additional measures undertaken by the government. So please, you can log on to Foreign Ministry websites on any further information. As I said, you have the copy of the order. So I would try to only emphasize on some key point that would directly related to the work and the related directly to international community living and staying in and working in the Lao PDR. I would not go through all these 18 points in the order. So first, I just want to inform you that the government has ordered own government agencies, everybody from local level to the provincial level to step up measures on public awareness about the risk, about the dangers of COVID-19, as well as the way how to protect themselves. I think this is very, very important. WHO has always stressed the fact that we have to know how to protect ourselves in order to avoid infection. This is the first point. Secondly, from April 1st to April 11, the Lao government would allow government staff, civil servants to work from home. We think it is important to follow the WHO recommendations on social distancing. Only through this way we will be able to do away with the COVID-19. Therefore, from after tomorrow, all government agencies, civil servants will work from home through whatever available means, the telephone, website, internet, through social media. I think this has become normal in countries across the world. Only except those essential civil servants and those who work to make sure that we maintain security and order in the countries. These people are military, police personnel, firefighters, staff on duty, electricity, water, so on and so on. It's already reflected in the translation. For government agencies, of course, every ministry would assign some staff to be on duty, and this would change from one day to another, depend on the workload that we have to handle. This would allow us to implement social distancing. So, foreign affairs, we would appoint a focal point. If there is anything that international community working and living in the Lao PDR would have any urgent matter to deal with, then you can contact that person. Or all ambassadors would probably have contact number of concerned people in foreign ministry. Please feel free to call or text. Some of you already have my phone number, so you feel free to contact me as well in case there is any emergency thing. Thirdly, we encourage people to stay at home. This is not only for government official or civil servant. So all the people in society have to stay at home. They would only allow to go out of home only for essential needs. For instance, going to buy food or medical stuff or anything that you need to survive. Because if you don't go out to buy food, to buy stuff, then you would have nothing to eat. In this connection, small shop, market, like mini mart, are still allowed to operate. But they have to follow strictly the regulations recommended by WHO and the government. So they have to follow all the procedures, safety procedures, to make sure that anybody would go there and purchase or buy food and essential item, they would not be infected. Fourthly, we try to restrict movement and travel across provinces. So anybody would not allow to go from province to province, from district to district. Talking about district, of course, it's still possible, but with precaution, with the strict precaution. Because like in Vientiane, of course, if you stay in Sai Setai district, of course, sometimes you have to go on emergencies to Sikot Tabong district. That still cannot allow. But with a very restricted number, all procedures need to be preserved. You are not allowed to travel to other provinces, like if you stay in Vientiane. You are not allowed to go to Borikam Sai, even Vientiane province. You stay in the Vientiane capital. Unless there is any emergency, and this travel requires an approval by concerned authority that you need to go to Champasak or other provinces. So we would not allow to freely move from one province to another. Because police and military personnel would be mobilized to enforce the implementations of this order. The fifth point as I said in the beginning that today's gathering is exception because it's more than 10 people. Because it is important that I need to keep you informed of what the government is planning to do in the next 20-30 days onward. So after tomorrow, of course, there should not be any meeting or gathering of more than 10 people. The next point, which is important and directly related to foreign expatriate in the Lao PDR and foreign country. We would continue to close, all customary and local border, which was announced before, remain closed. And from now on until April 19, all international checkpoints would be closed. All international, foreigners would not be allowed in the Lao PDR, regardless whether they have visas, because all entry port of the Lao PDR would be fully closed. So please convey this information to your country, to people who want to travel to Laos. This would be suspended until 19 April. And I beg your understanding, and I do understand that there is no more flight coming to Vientiane anyway. So be informed that from now on to April 19, no foreigners would be allowed to the country. We would still accept only Lao national on strict measures. Once they come back, they have to follow the order, follow the instructions which has been prescribed by international organizations like WHO and the regulation imposed by the Lao government. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has been assigned to help the international or foreigners who still stuck in the countries, whether they are tourists, whether they are essential, member of international organizations working in the countries who want to leave Laos. As I informed you in the last briefing that we are ready to help to coordinate with the Lao airline. Please communicate those desires to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Then we would arrange the flight with the Lao airline to send foreign tourism who are remaining in the countries to where they can have a connecting flight to their own countries. Presumably, probably Bangkok is the most route that these tourists probably would go. Again, and of course, if any country would like to arrange a charter flight from their own country to come and pick up their citizens in the Lao PDR, we would also arrange this for you as well. We would do our best to facilitate so they don't have any trouble when they're traveling back home. Of course, we would not be able to organize a charter flight from Vientiane to Bangkok, but I think once everything is arranged, Lao Airlines would probably use the normal route, the normal flight that they used to operate, but just to resume a couple of flights, so from Vientiane to Bangkok or to other. I think Lao Airlines is now preparing to a flight from Vientiane to South Korea to allow the tourists who remain here to come back home. Other measures like entertainment venue and those big shopping center, all these remain to be closed. However, we would also only allow some business activity that is important for daily life in the countries, such as bank, health care center, pharmacy, rescue organization, postal office, telecommunication, electricity, water supply, and other. I think these and mini mart, as I said earlier, these were still open for those who want to buy essential items on a daily basis. And in terms of enforcement, as I said, military personnel, police personnel would be mobilized to make sure that the measures and the orders are fully and effectively implemented. The rest, of course, there will be a number of measures that will enforce the existing measures the government has undertaken before. So I hope that you can go through these in detail when you are back and get acquainted with a number of measures. As far as we are concerned, because the order, the measures is a little bit lengthy, in order to easily understand, we are now preparing a kind of brochure, a snapshot on what we can do and what we cannot do. We will translate it and post it on our website, so you can easily what is do and don't according to these government measures. So in a nutshell, up to now, from now to 19 April, the country would be in a mood of lockdown. This is for the purpose of preventing and containing the spread of coronavirus in the country. You can see, although lockdown is fully in its swing, sometimes it doesn't work effectively. Example from countries across the world has already shown us that it might not be effective unless the people in the countries fully follow and observe all measures strictly. Therefore, I would like to ask your full understanding and cooperation in implementing these measures that has been undertaken by the government. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs stands ready to facilitate anything for embassies, international organizations, international agencies that are working in the Lao PDR please feel free to get in touch with us. We will have people on duty throughout this period of time. The measures is in effect from now on until April 19. We have working day from now to 11, and from 12 to 19 it is a New Year break. However, this can be extended if the situation continues in the country. And of course, we would use the situation across the region and the world as well to make sure that if the situation is improving in the country, why countries around us or in the world still serious, then of course this might be extended in order to make sure that no more infections is imported to the country. So this is what I wanted to highlight in terms of the new measures, additional measures that would reinforce the existing measures in the country. We stand ready to work closely with you all to make sure that we win this war against COVID-19. We'll do our best. And I would like to take this opportunity to once again reiterate our gratitude to friendly countries, international organizations who stand ready to extend their hand to help us in this fight. Without your support, of course, Laos would be in a very, very difficult situations to cope with the outbreak. 8 cases that has been identified has already scared the public. We still feel a little bit relief that the majority of general public in the Lao PDR stay alert and understand the risk, even scarier than the actual, which is good, so that they can follow all the measures undertaken by the government. Of course, there are some people who try to behave against the measures, and those who don't follow the instruction, don't follow the regulations imposed by the authority, they would be punished according to the law and regulation. So I can assure you that the government will try best to reinforce these measures, which hopefully would prevent the outbreak further in the countries. So I would end my briefing at this point, and I would take some of the comments and questions related to these new measures from Your Own Excellency. Thank you.